Hello there, my friends. My name is Tim Lee. Welcome to the Humbled Vanguard. I'm hoping you can hear me okay. I have a new system I'm trying to do because I'm trying to get ready to take a trip and I want to take you with me. And I want to be able to do our Bible study while we're on this trip. But the only way to pull it off is to try and figure out how to have a wireless solution, like a wireless microphone plugged into my phone, and how we're going to do the Bible study. And so I actually plan on taking my Bible with me and recording it on my phone, and hopefully that'll be quick and easy where we can create the content that I've failed to give you for the past couple weeks. Uh, can I start by giving you a little testimony? We've been very blessed. We've been praying for a miracle on some of the things we've been trying to accomplish financially, and we've seen some answers to that prayer in big ways, where it looks like we're going to be able to take care of the needs that we have. Uh, but the problem is because it was such a priority that I do that and do those things, I stopped doing the Bible study, which now I look at it and I find incredibly laughable because what I've done is I've said, hey, God, send us a blessing. But by giving us that blessing, I'm going to put aside the one thing that is bringing me closer to you so that I can accomplish the things that that blessing is supposed to benefit. So I've been focused on doing work and getting work done, and instead of doing my morning Bible study, which usually takes me about an hour, um, I decided that instead of doing this, I needed to keep my priorities on getting work done. I find that laughable now, but nonetheless, so I apologize. I want to do better, and I want to keep this going because, frankly, God is giving my wife and I a blessing that we need very much. And because of that, I feel like I need to be sticking with this. I need to be doing more. And since I'm going to be taking a trip here coming up, and I need the ability to do this on the go, I'm hoping that I can just record it on my phone and have it sound somewhat well. So hopefully, it sounds good in the podcast format through Spotify as well as on YouTube and then some. So today I will actually be reading out of a good old fashioned traditional Bible. And yes, it is an NIV. And we're going to be reading through. Now, I need to bring up something that's a little bit of a challenge for me right now, biblically speaking. When I look at Exodus 20, that is where in the Bible we are given the Ten Commandments, and they're kind of the seat and structure of the Christian faith, the things that we must do. But the thing that's important to remember, and the thing that I'm trying to remind myself, is that the Ten Commandments weren't the only rules that God put into law. That there were quite a bit more that were much more focused on the culture at that time, and I'll try to walk you through some of it. And this is something that I'm learning more of as I go too, where I'm going, oh wow, look at all the additional things that God put into place. That literally the conversation didn't end with the Ten Commandments. God had additional rules that He put into play, and they're interesting. And some of them would be button pushing, if you will, where it talks about slavery and what happens if you injure a slave, and so it's weird things like that that were culturally different in the past than now, and we've changed the rules. And I'm not saying that that is against God, but we have certainly changed what would happen. But we've ended slavery for the most part, except in certain countries. We've ended certain practices that you'll see here. Um, and so the culture is just going to naturally change with these things. But I read through some of this and I had to stop myself and kind of catch back up with myself and go, wow, this threw me off for a minute. I need to kind of regroup in my brain. And you're about to feel that same feeling. So please bear with me as we go through this together. It's going to be an interesting scenario. So today we are in Exodus 21, 22 through 36. All right, here we go. Once again, we're getting right into the rules that God is still giving to them at that time during their culture in Exodus, the beginning of our world. And when you got Moses, who just took all the Israelites across the Dead Sea, and God killed off all the Egyptians that were chasing them. So, very interesting times, and there needed to be rules and laws put into place. And this is where that happened. If men who are fighting hit a pregnant woman and she gives birth prematurely, but there is no serious injury, the offender must be fined whatever the woman's husband demands and the court allows. But if there is serious injury, You are to take life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. Sounds fair to me, don't you think? If a man hits a manservant or maidservant in the eye and destroys it, he must let the servant go free to compensate for the eye. And if he knocks out the tooth of the manservant or maidservant, he must let the servant go free to compensate for the tooth. Boy, if I was a servant and I wanted to get out of it, I sure wouldn't mind having a tooth busted out, because then that means I get to go free. It's pretty impressive. Now, here's where we switch things up. Verse 28. If a bull gores a man or a woman to death, the bull must be stoned to death, and its meat must not be eaten. But the owner of the bull will be held responsible. If, however, the bull has had the habit of goring and the owner has been warned but has not kept it penned up, and it kills a man or a woman, the bull must be stoned and his owner must also be put to death. Look at the severity of this situation. However, if payment is demanded of him, he may redeem his life by paying whatever is demanded. The law also applies to the bull if the bull gores a son or daughter. If the bull gores a male or female slave, the owner must pay 30 shekels of silver, and the master of the slave and the bull must be stoned. If a man uncovers a pit or digs one and fails to cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit must pay for the loss. He must pay its owner, and the dead animal will be his. If a man's bull injures the bull of another and it dies, they are to sell the live one and divide both the money and the dead animal equally. However, if it was known that the bull had the habit of goring, yet the owner did not keep it penned up, the owner must pay animal for animal, and the dead animal will be his. Okay? Now we're into chapter 22. And once again, like I said, these are rules that God put into place at that time, cultural rules. Now, last I checked, not many of us own bulls these days. So those cultural rules obviously change with the times, and they fall by the wayside. So we need to have a little bit of not artistic liberty, but being able to look at that time and look at this stuff and go, okay, where do we need to say that this is an imbalance of the Bible in comparison today, or why aren't these rules being followed today when they were put in place by God? There's going to have to be some back and forth here where we have to discuss what that means culturally, and is that still a biblical thing up until today? Does the God who does not change his rules or change his plans expect us to follow through with these rules today? Well, if you own a bull, honestly, those rules still seem pretty fair. If you had a manservant or maidservant, does that count? Possibly. Would that work instead of man or maidservant? Would that work in replacement for employment? Interesting thought. Um, could this cultural past still match with our culture today? With how much our culture's changed, I would say probably not. But does that mean that the culture is at fault or the Bible is at fault? I would, for one, say the culture is probably at fault. Let's keep going. Exodus chapter 22. If a man steals an ox or a sheep and slaughters it or sells it, he must pay back 5 head of cattle for the ox and 4 sheep for the sheep. If a thief is caught breaking in and struck so that he dies, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. But if it happens after sunrise, he is guilty of bloodshed. That's very interesting. I'm wondering why that's the case. Um, but if it happens after sunrise, he's guilty of bloodshed. A thief must certainly make restitution, but if he has nothing, he must be sold to pay for his theft. Interesting. So he turns into a servant. Um, if the stolen animal is found alive in his possession, whether ox or donkey or sheep, he must pay back double. Punishment for wrongdoing. Punishment for wrongdoing. Even in our culture today, there is not punishment for going and thieving in stores in certain states and things like that. Up to $600 or whatever the case may be. Not punishing for sin, not punishing for evil, just begets more evil. That's the point. All right. If a man grazes his livestock in a field or vineyard and lets them stray, and they graze in another man's field, he must make restitution from the best of his field or vineyard. I think that's very fair. Um, if a fire breaks out and spreads onto thorn bushes so that it burns stalks of grain or standing grain or the whole field, the one who started the fire must make restitution. If a man gives his neighbor silver or goods for safekeeping and they are stolen from the neighbor's house, the thief, if he is caught, must pay back double. But if the thief is not caught, sorry for bumping the microphone, if the thief is not caught, but if the thief is not found, the owner of the house must appear before the judges to determine whether he has laid his hands on the other man's property. In all cases of illegal possession of an ox, a donkey, a sheep, a garment, or any other lost property about which someone says, "This is mine," both parties are to bring their cases before the judges. The one whom the judges declare guilty must pay back double his neighbor. If the man gives a donkey, an ox, a sheep, or any other animal to his neighbor for safekeeping and it dies or is injured or is taken away while no one is looking, the issue between them will be settled by the taking of an oath before the Lord that the neighbor did not lay hands on the other person's property. The owner is to accept this, and no restitution is required. But if the animal was stolen from the neighbor, he must make restitution to the owner. If it was torn into pieces by a wild animal, he shall bring in the remains as evidence, and he will not be required to pay for the torn animal. If a man borrow, so far all this sounds very fair and actually simple. The rules are simple. I like it. And there might be a few things where you'd be kind of like, what did they just say? But so far, I like what I see. I like the balance. You steal, you're paying back double. Sounds like a pawn situation. Let's keep going here. If a man borrows an animal from his neighbor and it's injured or dies while the owner is not present, he must flip the page, and these are super thin pages. Remember licking your fingers to flip the pages of your Bible? That was a thing in the past and still is for those who still have original Bibles. He must make restitution, but if the owner is with the animal, the borrower will not have to pay. If the animal was hired, the money paid for the hire covers the loss. So you better price accordingly in case you lose your animal. All right, here we go. Social responsibility is this next one. I wonder if this would work at all for social media. We'll find out. If a man seduces a virgin who is not pledged to be married and sleeps with her, he must pay the bride's price, and she shall be his wife. Wow. So careful where you put your daughters, people. Don't put them in front of stupid people of ill repute. Make wise choices on where your daughters are. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, hey, good, there's an opportunity here. What's the answer? He must still pay the bride price for virgins. So, very thankful to say that the punishment goes towards the man, the person doing it wrong, no matter what. And if the father deems it best, well, then he can make restitution by marrying the girl. Or if the man certainly does not want that for his daughter, oh, that's good. It's kind of like, oh, is this going to go wrong? And it goes so right. Do not allow a sorceress to live. Oh, interesting. Blair Witch Project. Anyone who has sexual relations with an animal must be put to death. Whoever sacrifices to any god or god other than the Lord must be destroyed. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord must be destroyed. Oh, my word. Now, there's a footnote here. The Hebrew term refers to the irrevocable giving over of things or persons to the Lord. Is that the... Hang on a second, bear with me. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord must be destroyed. And the footnote here says the Hebrew term refers to the irrevocable giving over of things or persons to the Lord, often by totally destroying them. So if you put any other god before God, you should be destroyed. Put to death? Is that a thing? Do not mistreat an alien or oppress him, for you were aliens in Egypt. Do not take advantage of a widow or an orphan. By the way, Let's quickly mention this. An alien, someone coming into your area, someone who's out of your country, maybe um, an immigrant, if you will. Well, immigrants need to follow the laws of the country that they're coming to. Okay, if you're choosing to enter the country, you need to follow the rules of that country, and you need to be a part of that country. We pay taxes, we do things so that we do our part to keep our country running. Um, Illegal aliens are illegal aliens and need to be held to law and need to be punished for wrongdoing. That's my take, and I'm sticking with it. So, yes, we treat them with respect. Biblically saying, we love them, we treat them with respect. But if they are illegal, they are doing it wrong, they must be punished for that. They must go back to where they came, and they must enter legally. And they can enter, get a green card, work on their citizenship right here within our borders. Legally, not illegally. There are ways to do that. Biblically speaking, we can follow that trajectory without further statement to that. Okay. Do not take advantage of a widow or an orphan. If you do and they cry out to me, I will certainly hear their cry. Ooh, do you really want the God of the Bible to hear their cry when you've done something wrong? My anger will be aroused, and I will kill you with the sword. Your wives will become widows, and your children fatherless. Don't you mess with the Lord your God. I love that. So far, I'm all on board. If you lend money to the one of my people among you who is needy, do not be like a moneylender. Charge him no interest. If you take your neighbor's cloak as a pledge, return it to him by sunset, because his cloak is the only covering he has for his body. What else will he sleep in? When he cries out to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate. Do not blaspheme God or curse the ruler of your people. Don't curse the ruler of your people. You don't like Trump? Don't curse him. You don't like Obama? You don't like Clinton? You don't like Roosevelt? You don't like. Think of them, all the presidents. Don't curse them. Don't do it. You don't like some of the names that we've heard from European countries and from Iraq and Iran? Don't curse them. God has complete control to do that himself. Do not hold back offerings from your granaries or your vats. You gave me the firstborn of your son. You must give me the firstborn of your sons. Do the same with your cattle and your sheep. Let them stay with their mothers for 7 days, but give them to me on the 8th day. You are to be my holy people. So do not eat the meat of an animal torn by wild beasts. Throw it to the dogs. Watch out for the roadkill. Um, all right, moving on to Exodus 23 1 through 3. Do not spread false reports. Do not help a wicked man by being a malicious witness. Do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd, and do not show favoritism to a poor man in his lawsuit. All right. Now we jump over to Matthew 24 1 through 28. So far, I like all the rules. I like them. They work. They can still work in today. Now, some people might disagree with that, but match it up. It still can work in today. It really can. All right, we're in Matthew 24 1 through 28. Signs of the end of the age. Ooh, okay, pushing buttons here. Hang on tight. And we've seen these signs. There, people in the Bible times thought they were in the end times. Here we are now, also thinking we're in the end times. Just be aware. Be aware. Okay. This is a push button topic, so hang on tight because this one may push some buttons. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to its buildings. Do you see all these things? He asked. I tell you the truth, not one stone here will be left on another. Every one will be thrown down. As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came to him privately, "Tell us," they said, "when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" And Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives." Let me flip the page here as I also check how far we're going to go. We're going to go to verse 28. Watch out that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, claiming I am the Christ, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Interesting. Now, we've said this before many, many, many times, okay? So bear with me, because you could say, oh gosh, we're here. We're in the end times right now. And yes, we are. But we have been for a very long time. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Even God says, don't be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. My hometown here just had 3 earthquakes in the last couple weeks. Should I be concerned? Honestly, they happen pretty often, per se, around the world. So, in my opinion, I think not. But be aware. And in my opinion, I think you should always be prepared. I think we should always be fighting for the will of God. We should always be pushing for more people to come to Christ, because you don't know when time comes to an end. You can't be the judge of that. So don't waste time. Act like it is. You know, if you knew you were going to die tomorrow, what would you do differently today? You would do a lot differently. You would live a lot differently. You would be a completely different person than the one you've been most of your life. So be that person. If you think the world is coming to an end, live like it is. Because, yes, it is coming to an end. Guaranteed. 100%. Proven in the Bible. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to the Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. You got to admit, Christians are hated right now. We are. Absolutely, we are. Because we have to believe a very narrow minded thing, that the Bible's the only way. The Bible's the only rule book that needs to be put into place. At the time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people because of the increase of wickedness. The love of most will grow cold, but he who stands firm in the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached on the whole world as a testimony to all the nations, and then the end will come. So when you see standing in the holy place the abomination that causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let no one on the roof of his house go down to take anything out of the house. Let no one in the field go back to get his cloak. How dreadful will be those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, "Look over here, look, here is the Christ," or "There he is," do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and miracles to deceive even the elect, if that were possible. See, I have told you ahead of time. So if anyone tells you, "There he is, out in the desert," or "Do not go out," or "Here he is in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever there is carcasses, there the vultures will gather. Okay. You'll know when it's the real Christ. There's too many people shouting wolf. You'll know when it's the real Christ. All right, now we go to Psalm 29, 1 through 11. So we got Psalm 29. Takes me a few extra seconds. All right. And then we're going 1 through 11. A Psalm of David. Ascribe to the Lord, O mighty ones. Ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory due his name. Worship the Lord in the splendor of his holiness. The voice of the Lord is over the waters. The glory of the God of glory thunders. The Lord thunders over the mighty waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is majestic. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. The Lord breaks in pieces the cedars of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon skip like a calf, uh, 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 Syrian like a young wild ox. The voice of the Lord strikes with flashes of lightning. The voice of the Lord shakes the desert. The Lord shakes the desert of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord twists the oaks and strips the forest bare. And in his temples all cry glory. The Lord sits enthroned over the flood. The Lord is enthroned as king forever. The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace. And finally, Proverbs 7, 6 through 23. Now I got to find it here as I flip back and forth here. All right. I'm literally like singing the books of the Bible in my head right now. And I think Proverbs. I think Proverbs comes after Psalms. Let's see if I'm right here. Psalms, Proverbs. Okay, there we go. Went to the New Testament for a minute there, and that was wrong. This is Old Testament. All right, Proverbs 7, 6 through 23. Praise God for those songs when we were kids. I don't know if you guys had the chance to memorize those, but yeah, the only reason I remember my Bible is because I can sing those songs in my head. Let's go 6 through 23. At the window of my house, I looked out through the lattice. I saw among the simple, I noticed among the young men, a youth who lacked judgment. He was going down the street near her corner, walking along in the direction of her house. At twilight, as the day was fading and the dark of the night set in. Then out came a woman to meet him, dressed like a prostitute and with crafty intent. She is loud and defiant. Her feet never stay at home. Now in the street, now in the squares, at every corner she lurks. She took hold of him and kissed him, and with a brazen face, she said, let me see here where to go. She said, I have fellowship offerings at home. Today I fulfilled my vows. So I come out to meet you. I looked for you and have found you. I have covered my bed with colored linens from Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us drink deep of love till morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. My husband is not home. He has gone on a long journey. He took his purse filled with money and will not be home till full moon. Let me make sure how far I'm supposed to go here. There we go. With persuasive words, she led him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. All at once he followed her like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer stepping into a noose, till an arrow pierces his liver, like a bird darting into a snare, little knowing it will cost him his life. That's our day of Bible time. Let's go ahead and close in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for your word. Thank you so very much for the encouragement that you show in your word. Lord, I've been a Christian now for as long as I can remember, and I open your word and I'm reminded that I don't know it all. And in moments, I begin to feel that twisting and uncertainty of what does this mean? This feels out of context. This is something I don't know. And you turn it back towards me. And Lord, I appreciate that. Lord, thank you for your blessings. Thank you for being my Father, my Heavenly Father. Thank you for giving your Son to be my brother, Jesus Christ. The man, the Spirit who died on the cross, was buried and came back to life so that I didn't have to worry about my sins so I could be in heaven one day. He's my brother. He's my brother? What an insane thought. What an insane feeling. What an insane compassion and grace that you have given to each and every one of us. Lord, thank you. Please remind the people on the other side of this camera, on the other side of that computer screen, that they are yours and that they deserve to live and to find you and seek you and understand that you are far more than just a God who allows bad things to happen. Lord, in your mighty name, I pray over my brothers and sisters who are sitting here watching this video. I pray for Esteban. I pray for XD. I pray for Zach. I pray for Volo. I pray for all the different people who hang out in my little gaming live streams on my other channel, Lord. I pray for all the amazing people who support me on a daily basis. Sean Hampens, the Tony Allens, Presticle 1137. I pray for my wife. I pray for Ray White. I pray for Ray Young. Pray for Karen Young. I pray for Roy Stone. Lord, I pray for all the amazing people who supported me. I pray for Jason Laird, Jason Homeland. I pray for Shannon Newth. I pray for each one of these people that you will touch their heart, that you will give them your spirit today, that you will give them grace and a peace that surpasses all understanding. I pray for Dylan. Lord, I pray for Kieran. I pray for Keenan. I pray for Jaden. Lord, just everyone that you have come to my mind right now, Lord, I just pray that you give them peace and that they are pulled towards you and an understanding and a faith of you. Lord, may your will be done in their lives. May you honor and glorify yourself in these people. Lord, I pray for the pastors of my churches that I work with. Lord, I pray for Ben. I pray for his wife. Lord, whatever their needs are, not that you meet them, but that you give them peace and that you give them your truth and that you give them your wisdom and that they receive some of the wisdom of Solomon that I ask for every day in my life. But Lord, that peace that surpasses all understanding when things are just not going well, Lord, I pray your blessings in that for them. Lord, I pray for my friends on the other side of this camera that you give them that same thing. You give them that peace and that they can look at the people who hate them and say with them in love, I love you, and I forgive you. And that they can send those people who have mistreated them on without, hate, and that they can move on with their lives because sitting in the anger and the frustration and the feeling of being used or abused or misused, that doesn't need to be there anymore. You can now escape it and run free of it over time as you work your way out of it. But Lord, just give them peace today. All right, Lord, thank you so much for our Bible time, and I pray your will be done in your mighty name. Amen. All right, God bless you guys. I love you. This is 2.8 gigabytes large. This will take a bit to upload and from my phone, but all on experience I'm trying to do to see what the possibilities are of this effort when I take it on the road and do other stuff. So I love you guys. God bless you. Keep it crispy. First Tim 4:12, as I like to say, and we'll see you next time, my humbled vanguard. Don't forget, you are the vanguard of Christ. Stay strong. You got this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.